This again. I don't know how well this is going to work out. Sorry, everyone. I am so excited to be talking to one of my favorite people on the internet. I know that our parents would always say, "Hey, don't invite strangers to, to hit." Let's try this again. I know that our parents always told us, "Do not talk to strangers, especially strangers on the internet. It's stranger danger." But fun fact, two of my really good friends, three, four, five of my really good friends are actually from the internet that I've met. And then there's a bunch of people I've connected with over the last few years that are just really awesome people that are not scary and are not dangerous. Jane, y'all have to forgive me. I am getting over a flu cold thing, so my mind's a little weird right now. Um, but one of the people that we're about to talk to, her name is Christina. She works as a social media guru, as I like to call her, for her own company, Social Butterfly Gal. And she's just a rock star. She lives in San Antonio, which is about 5 hours away from where I am. Um, she's awesome because she also loves Justin Timberlake, is a huge Britney fan, was a huge NSYNC fan in their heyday. So obviously that makes her super awesome. And I'm so excited to have her guest on 512 Studio FM. She's my first guest. She was one of the first people I thought about when I was going to actually do this whole thing and decide to go with it. So I'm really excited to have her on the show. She's going to talk to you guys about what she does, how she's grown her business, all of these crazy trends that have happened with Instagram and Facebook, and how you, as a small business person, can keep in contact with it and how you cannot let it get to you. And as I know, as a small business owner, anytime Facebook changes something, it's like, okay, but we were on a roll here and now you've messed some things up. So now I've got to re-strategize again. So she's going to give you super awesome advice, and I can't wait for you guys to talk with her. So hi. Hold on. Why are you muted? I don't want you mute. Okay. Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, happy new year and
Happy
everything.
New Year to you too. How's it going?
Good, going crazy busy, but it's like the start of a new year and I love it.
Yes, I know. It's one of those things that, like, everything's crazy, but it's a good kind of crazy. Like,
Yeah, like it feels so good because I don't know about you, but I took a week off
yeah.
and it was nice. But
Yeah.
then I was like, I'm ready to get back to work.
Oh, no. I took a week off because I had to,
Yeah.
because I got sick. Like, Christmas Day, I got sick.
Oh, that's the worst.
I know. Luckily, like, I didn't really feel it until the end of Christmas Day. So,
Mm,
like, I got to enjoy it.
yeah,
But it's like from Christmas Day to, like, I'm kind of stuffy, but it's not like
bad.
terrible. Like, I
Yeah.
was like out for the count and I'm like, I don't want to be on the couch. I have things to do.
Oh my goodness. At least like it didn't. I got 2 years, and I'm knocking on wood.
Yeah.
But 2017 and 2018, I got sick right at the start of the new year.
Yeah.
So in 2017, I was out for the whole month of January because I got like super sick. And then
Yeah.
last year in January, I got sick on the final day of my honeymoon because we were in Jamaica, which was 89 degrees. And then we
Yeah.
came back to Texas and it was like 20 something.
Oh, yeah.
So I got like super sick, but that one only lasted like a week. So this year I was like, I'm watching you, sickness. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like in the mountain theater has been super bad here.
Mhm.
And so I'm like, I don't know if it's sickness or if it's allergies, but I feel
Yeah.
like at least you're not like, at least it's the start of the new year and you're recovering from it.
I'm trying to look at things as like, oh, it's symbolism, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, the end of the year is for me to calm down because I've
Yeah.
been trying to go, go, go. But the beginning of the year is supposed to be when everything just goes
Dude,
Cool.
seriously.
So
Seriously.
I'm like, that's the best way to look at it because
Mhm.
if not, I'll just be sulking that I'm sick and no one wants to
Yeah.
deal with that. So
Well, I'm so happy we're doing this
I
finally.
know, I know, I know. It's like, it's one of those things where like life happens and
Yeah,
FYI, like pest control is supposed to come today. Like, so I put a sign out of my door.
that's awesome.
I was like, recording, please just come in and knock. So there's going to be like probably this guy that comes in like this Men in Black Ghostbusters looking gear, just like
Oh my god, I love
randomly
it.
spraying.
Oh, I love it. That's so funny.
If they knock on the door, they're gonna be so pissed. I'm like, there's a sign right there
Don't knock on the door.
it says recording, just come in. Which also I realize sets myself up for like daytime murder.
Mhm. Dude, for real. Oh my
Like they're
god.
like, no problem. I'll just walk into your house, and then it's like a whole,
Oh my
so it's a
god.
whole thing on Dateline. Like
Jesus. I swear.
my mom would be like, "Can you not say those things?" I'm like, "But I mean, it happens."
For real, it does. It does. It
Like
does.
that's why I watch it so I can be like, "Oh,
You're
okay,
aware. Yeah,
yeah,
you're
I'm
aware.
aware,"
Yeah,
and
I
I'm
feel
like,
the same
"Okay."
thing.
Yeah, it's like, okay, if I'm ever at Lake Erie, I know where not to go
Yeah.
because there was this story that happened in the 70s. That's so
Oh my god.
my true crime obsession has gone from like curiosity to like, oh, I'm bored and there's nothing else on. I'll just watch this stuff. To now that I know that there's like a whole like murderino type of thing.
Oh, so
now that
scary.
now that I know like there's a group of people like that are like, heck yeah, true crime. I'm obsessed. I'm like, well, this is awesome. I found my tribe.
Oh my
You
god, I love
too
that.
like to study about serial killers and not for the fact that people are killing. Like
Yeah, it's just like
I can go on and like cults are is another thing that I love because I'm hard headed and I'm like, I'm not joining this cult. Are you kidding me? Like,
oh my
first of all,
god.
you have long hair and you're wearing
The
aviators.
trend, yeah.
These are two signs. And now all of a sudden your name is David, or it's like you are
Emmanuel.
prophet so and
Yeah.
so. Okay. Screams cult to me.
Oh my god. That's so funny.
I can literally go on and on. This is so terrible. All right. Well, I did your intro. It'll be a surprise when you
Oh
hear
yeah.
but I definitely like I don't really remember how we started to like talk. I think it was a Twitter chat. Remember those back in the day?
Damn, those were the rage. I want to say it was 2016, twenty
Yeah,
fifteen. It's got to be because Callie was. Did I meet you in Creative Coffee Hour in Callie's chat?
maybe. I think and like Twitter chats, just for anyone that like is listening post exposing Jack is kind of a terrible person phase when we didn't really know. Like Twitter chats were like the thing.
They were.
But
They were all the rage because I feel like this was pre like when Instagram, way before Instagram went like crazy, right?
yeah.
So I feel like Twitter was like the main platform for people to build community. And I
Mhm.
remember getting really excited because for one night a week, every hour, I would meet people who lived in different places and we
Yeah.
had one connection, which was branding, social media,
Mhm.
entrepreneurship, and it felt so good. Like it
Yeah.
just felt so good to like
Yeah.
meet people.
Yeah, and I was saying, like, kind of at the beginning, like, I know that parents listen, true crime will always tie into this. No, your parents will always say, like, don't talk to strangers. And then it was like, don't talk to strangers on the internet and stranger danger, which legitimately, I mean, I watch Catfish, so I understand.
Well, and I think about that all the time because I'm so open and I'm so like, you'll see me everywhere posting like what I'm doing. And then I
Yeah.
think about that too. Like, we're taught not to do that, but
Yeah.
yet it feels like you should do that because especially when you're in a business that is online, how else
Mhm.
how else are you going to meet people?
Yeah.
Like how else are you going to get to like collaborate and partner with others? So I feel like it's just like this thing where it's like, no, I have to be online. I have to be out there. And
Mhm.
Twitter chats were the first step that I
Mhm.
took to meet people that were in the same industry, in the same, like doing what I'm doing at the same age, and that did not live in my city. It so happened that you're from Texas, and so am
Yeah.
I, and it's like it worked out. It's so cool. I love it.
Yeah. And I was also saying, like, to kind of at the beginning in the intro, like, I have, like, about 4 or 5, like, close friends that I met, not business-wise, but, like, that I met because of common interests that could have gone completely could have gone completely wrong, right? But
Yeah, yeah,
they're the people I've been friends with them for, like, almost 10 years, which is crazy. We
mhm.
met on, like, a forum of, like, a common interest, and then, like, we moved to Twitter, and then
Yeah,
we, like, moved to, like, private DMs, and then we were like, okay, well, let's do group chat. And so, not
right,
group me. So then we just chat in a group me. And then we finally decided to, like, okay, let's meet up one day. So we
right.
met up, and like I was with somebody I knew, like, that I'd met that I from college. And so it was kind of like, come with me if they're crazy. I just go, okay, I'll never talk to you again.
And part of me wishes that Twitter, I mean, I do see some people on my Twitter feed. I do see them continuing Twitter chats. Like I
Yeah.
know there's some like social media today does Twitter chats, but sometimes I really wish that the ones that I was a part of in the early stage of my business, I wish they were still there because
Yeah.
I do miss that. Like, and I
Yeah.
think it really helped me feel more confident of I'm not crazy for starting my own business. Like I
Right.
really think it made me feel like, okay, there's other people out there in the online world who are at the same stage or they're going through the same things that I'm going through. And it made me feel so much better about my life.
Yeah, because I think we started, and I want to get into like how you started for everyone who and for everyone listening. I feel so pretentious saying that, but no, putting positive vibes out there, right?
Yeah.
For everyone listening, do you want to hear the beginning of yours because I loved what we talked about. You know how Social Butterfly Girl like started as one thing, and then like turned into your own like
Yeah.
I call it an empire. I'm just gonna again, I'm gonna put
Oh,
that out
that's
there.
so sweet. I hope it's becoming an empire. So yeah, so my journey is really interesting because originally I have a mass communication broadcasting degree. So I wanted to be on the news. I wanted to be more so an entertainment reporter, and I went to school for broadcasting.
Mhm.
Nowhere ever did I think that I was going to start a business. But that's life. And the harsh reality of post grad life is, you have all this experience and then you get out in the real world and you can't find a job.
Yep.
And I think that was like, I went through so many interviews with different TV stations. And I think I was trying to be put in a box. And
Mhm.
so I don't think that my brand, now that I know that this is a brand, I don't think it fit the mold of what traditionally I was supposed to do in life after college.
Sure, yeah.
And it took some time for me to understand that the reality of where we're at in our world now is creating your own opportunities.
Yeah.
And so after I think it was like maybe my sixth interview with a television station, I did not get the job. I actually found out on Facebook who got the job. I didn't even receive like an email that I didn't get it. But I think after I saw who they hired, I was like, I cannot sit on my butt anymore. Like I cannot be dreaming and wishing and hoping. I have to take action.
Mhm.
And so at the time, a lot of people in my life were telling me, have you thought about public relations? Or like, have you thought about stepping outside of what you know in communications and going into a different form of communication? And I was just super close minded. And I said, no, no, no. And then finally, after that, I said, you know what? I need to take action.
Mhm.
So the first step was I went on WordPress and I created a blog. I was like, well, maybe I just need to write out like what I'm doing,
Yeah.
and maybe people will become interested in what I'm doing. And then I started Social Butterfly Gal as just a blog. And then I got a job in a public relations business. It was two girls who
Mhm.
owned a PR startup. And one of the girls went to college with me at Texas State. And so she was like, oh, awesome, cool. You know, and I got involved in that. And I quickly loved PR. Like, I just loved it. I
Mhm.
don't know though if it was events or if it was just positioning, brand positioning. I don't know what it was, but I quickly fell deeply in love. And while I was working with them, I was blogging about everything that I was doing.
Mhm.
And I started to share these blogs on my personal Facebook and my personal Twitter. And I started to get my family and their friends involved in what I was doing. And I
Yeah.
started just like building this following. And then about like 6 months after I had started working with this PR firm, they decided to split. And I was like, oh my God, what the hell does that mean?
Yeah.
Well, the girl that I went to college with, she was like, I am going to start my own PR business and I want you to come along as my assistant. And I was like, okay, great. Like, that's not a real, like, I mean, it's a job, but like, I wanted to get hired full time. You know,
Yeah.
I didn't want to do like part time work anymore. And I said, you know what? I trust you. I trust where you're going. I will be your assistant. And then a couple of months after I was just doing pure admin work for her, she scored some big clients, and her clients needed social media. And so of course, like, she had asked me, you know, would you be willing to do their social media? And I said yes. And so she was able to pay me a little bit more than as an
Yeah.
assistant. And then I just like went straight into learning about social media, learning about social media strategy. I was taking courses, I was getting involved online, I was learning from like these social media gurus about how to market and position. And then it's like this domino effect, right? Like,
Mhm.
once things are going great, then she told me that she was going to be moving from San Antonio to Austin, and she wasn't able to keep her business. She was going to end up going to get a full time job, but she had told me, "You already have this following. Have you ever thought about starting your own business?" And again, I was like, "No, no, I don't. That's not in my plan." But after thinking about it, I said, you know what? Like, I'm already working and I have these clients. Why don't I really take that leap and
Mhm.
start a business? So after that, this was in 2015. So I said, okay, let's jump right in. And I ended up, you know, filing my LLC and learning about what that means, and like learning about like taxes. And so the Social Butterfly Gal was created in 2015.
Mhm.
But every year it's been like pivot after pivot after pivot. I started more of in 2015, Social Butterfly Gal was a little bit more of like an influencer type marketing thing where I was
Mhm.
being hired to promote businesses and like be the influencer. And then throughout 2015, 2016, 2017, I became more of the social media strategist, the managing part of it.
Mhm.
I was realizing that my real skill set is actually managing people's social media and what
Yeah.
I really enjoy more of. And so now I now present time 2019, Social Butterfly Gal is a social media management and consulting business, and I do everything from social media management, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, content creation, event, social media management. And then on the consulting side, I do monthly retainers on consulting and strategy, and also social media audit. So I am really hardcore involved in social media. And then I also do speaking. And so I do speaking engagements. And then I have a membership community where I host monthly workshops for women entrepreneurs who want to learn about social media at a more affordable rate. And so it's so interesting to see like how the transition has been and
Mhm.
where I'm positioning for, like you said, this empire. Like, what do I want to do next? And like, where is the future of social media? What do I need to do to be a better marketer? And
Mhm.
how do I need to position my clients in the best light?
And the really interesting thing is, and we've seen it within, I feel like we've definitely seen it within 2018, is how like we were saying with our Twitter chats, like Twitter chat has kind of like declined. So then how do you, as a social media strategist and manager, like how do you, when you work with your clients, try to help them pivot to like the new trends, especially when, it's one thing if like Gap brands, right? Like with Facebook and Instagram specifically, which I would love to talk to you more about, is with Facebook, we're realizing that like it's a lot of paid to get out there. And if you're Gap brands, if you're J. Crew, if you're these large multi-million dollar brands, okay, you have a budget of $10,000. That's not a lot, to you. But if you're a smaller business, or if you're a solopreneur and you're
Mhm.
paying for stuff out of your own pocket, you're working full time, and that's how you're funding your business, like you want to count on those organic likes and that organic growth, but it's almost like organic is not a thing anymore.
Yeah, and you know what's
So,
so funny is a lot of my business or a lot of the things that I do for my clients are all organic. I
mhm,
hardly stress on ads
yeah,
unless we need to go in that route. So
mhm,
some clients have ads running in the background on their end, on their budget. But
right,
when you hire me, it's more of, we're going to be working with top influencers here in the city. We're going to
mhm,
have a really strategic content like content calendar to where the content that we're creating is specific for your audience, but it's also creative and authentic to your brand. And so
mhm,
I feel like a lot of the things that, and I was thinking about this recently because when, I don't know if you remember, like a week ago, right after Christmas, Instagram had that accident where
oh
they
my
changed
gosh.
the feed. And in that 1 hour, I was thinking, how in the hell am I going to explain this to my clients? Like,
Right,
they don't understand it already.
yeah.
How am I going to explain what this means for a strategy? So it's really like I have to be on my toes all the time,
Mhm.
reading articles, taking part of courses. I actually signed up. Well, my husband for Christmas, he got me a Christmas gift to go to Social Media Week in Austin,
Oh,
which is like
that's so
this
nice.
3-day conference. And
Yeah,
so like I'm always investing in my business, investing in
yeah,
the latest things so that I can take to my clients and I can put the right strategies in place. And
mhm,
then looking at their analytics and seeing, okay, this is where I need to pivot. This is
mhm,
the content that does really well. So it's all about like studying the audience because as much as I see like where social is going, all that paid stuff,
mhm.
I'm still very like, you have to have the organic connection.
Right, and
You
and
have
and And by the way, like when we mention like paid versus organic, we're not talking like buying likes. Like,
right,
that's lame. Nobody's buying likes. It's a
right,
waste of money. It's an easy way to lose your brand because you're
right.
no longer in control over it. And nobody's buying followers. Again, that's a really lame. Well, we're not
We're not
buying
that right.
followers.
Yeah.
I would say nobody, but we're not buying followers. We're not buying likes. It's super lame. There's a whole lot of things that came out about it recently about like how it destroys your brand, basically how you lose control over it, and then you get penalized because Instagram and Facebook, well, Instagram specifically, will like flag your account, and then
Right,
all of those likes and followers get deleted, and then you go from
right,
having what, 10,000 because you want the swipe up on Instagram, which I
right.
want, but
I know. I'm like, just give it to us already.
give it to us if you have a business account and you're active.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
Like it makes no sense why. Yeah, I think about that all the time because I have one client who has the swipe up option, and
mhm.
when I'm on it, I'm like, God, this is the easiest. Like, why don't we have it? Like,
Yeah.
why is it 10,000? I hate it.
Yeah, I'm like 10,000. Like, I'm not even at 1,000 yet, but I've gotten to the point. I'm getting there though. It's climbing. It's climbing. But no, I'm getting to the point that I'm not. I look at how people react to my content, like you were saying, and I'm like, you know what? If people like this particular content, then I'm gonna put more of it out there, and I'm gonna engage more. And as long as I'm engaging, like that to me is what's more important. Not like I gotta hurry up and get to however many followers, which I think people do get fixated on,
Yeah.
which is why they do buy the likes and the followers. Which and like it's just
And it makes it, I think it makes it really difficult, that that schemy part of social media. I think it makes it really difficult for the clients that I work with. We do a
hmm
lot of influencer marketing,
hmm
and it's not like, it's more micro influencers here in locally,
yeah,
but it's having to tell clients like, do not focus on the followers. Like, I need for people to understand that, because you can have x amount of followers, but how many of them are local, how many of them are buying, how many
right,
of them do see your content. And so when I work with influencers, with clients, I really am very strategic, to where even if you have a small following will do 10 times better if your audience is engaged with you,
right.
versus getting an influencer who has, 15,000, who maybe has a tiny percentage locally. So it's building the trust with the client as
Mhm.
social continues to evolve. And
Yeah,
that is like a day-to-day work to work aspect of what I do.
right. And I also see like a lot of your like if you want to see the work that Christina's done, like go on her website. She will plug everything. I'll put everything in like the description. But she has like legit like the girl does the work.
Thank
and
you.
and I saw her when she was working on I believe it was like New Year's Eve, you were working for a client. So like
while and that was like so fun, because well, and I love what I do. And I actually, right before we started recording, I was meeting with someone that I'm going to be working with in the future sense, because that's another thing. I am building a course to launch
Mhm,
later in the year, but I was talking to her about just the upside and downside about what I do. And
mhm.
like, the fun side is I enjoy managing and doing this for clients, but it was New Year's Eve. I
Yeah,
was trying to have fun, but at the same time I was working. But
yeah.
I was conscious of my fun and my work, and it's
Mhm.
like separating those two, making sure that my client is positioned. That was the goal, was my client was positioned as a hotspot on New Year's Eve, and
Yeah.
we succeeded it. Like, like we did such a great job. And so that's the fun part of what I do, is having fun while also being on the hustle and grind.
Yeah. And it's almost like it's I think of when on the hills when Heidi first season 1 of the hills when Heidi first goes to fit him with Lauren for like 2 seconds, but
Yeah.
she's talking about how like or was it that or when she went to Bolt House for an interview, but she like wanted to be in the club immediately.
Yeah.
Like and it was like, no, you have to like work your way. And then it's not that I'm not saying it's not fun, but it's not
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm a party girl, like a PR party girl. Like you have to actually work because you're working
Yeah.
for that client to make sure that they are, like you're saying, like the number one hotspot. Especially,
Right.
I mean, you're not in LA, but it's still that kind of you're still in San Antonio where they have a lot of that entertainment and you want them to be a premier
Right.
um the premier spot like and everybody's competing for that so
Right. Especially for New Year's Eve. I think the top goal that we accomplished in literally 3 days was, during Christmas and New Year's, this one client that I have, we sold out on their New Year's Eve package in three
mhm,
days because of social. And
mhm,
so those are those milestones that I personally enjoy the most, is like, I
mhm.
have something that I need to accomplish for a client. Let's put the strategy in place. Let's execute it and let's do it. And it's to see the results. It's to see those people that were there that night on New Year's Eve enjoying everything, that makes my job so fulfilling, I feel.
Yeah. And I think too that when people say like it's very interesting. I wish everyone that says that I want to go into social thinking it's not a big deal or it's not about a lot of strategy if they followed you for like on your Instagram and just kind of the stuff that you've done. I'm like, ooh, this is a lot.
Yeah, and I don't like, I love when people say that they want to get into social media or they want to
Mhm.
create social media, like they want to create their own business. But
Mhm.
I feel like people need to understand that don't be part of the trend. You know, like
Right.
really, if you and like I think so many people can think that they can do social well because they do it for themselves,
Mhm.
but I'm like, it's so different. Like
Mm.
you really have to know the psychology behind why
Yeah.
people do what they do on social, and you need to know strategy, and you need to be a really great writer and a great storyteller. That's kind of my theme for this year, for where I want to grow in social media, is just being a better storyteller, being a better
Yeah.
writer, connecting with audiences. I have this big client that I signed on in 2018 that it's literally one of the biggest events in San Antonio, and it
Yeah.
has a really huge audience, and the audience is super tied to it. So I feel like everything that I put out has to connect with that
Mhm.
audience, and it has to be true and authentic to the brand while also growing and being different
Yeah.
than anybody that they hired to do social media. So it's a good challenge, but I just really want people to know that like social media is work. Like it
Yeah.
is work. You got to put in the work. You got to like
Mhm.
learn. You got to be the photographer, the graphic designer, the writer. The you have to be everything at
Yeah.
once. It's insane.
Yeah. And I think also, again, I think trying to balance all of that and then also trying to keep up with the changes that you don't have any control over,
Control.
or
Yeah.
when like Instagram randomly messes with algorithms, or because again, like when you're a smaller business, you feel that like sting. You're like, wait a minute, this type of post always got me 200 likes. Why do
Yeah.
I only have 50? And it's like that sting, even if the percentage is the same with a larger company, it's like, well, that's a drastic drop, but at least we're still in the thousands if you're a
Right.
company versus like, how do we go from 200 to 50? Like,
And I
just
see that, like, trying to explain that too. I know there was a couple of months in 2018 where Instagram and Facebook both like shut down, or like not shut down, but like Instagram was just not working. And so
yeah,
I quickly emailed my clients and I was like, if you see a drop in your analytics on this day, I screenshot like that Instagram was not working. And so I send it to them. That way they know like it is
yeah,
not me. We don't have control over it. These are these platforms that unfortunately don't work at times. So when things like that happen, I just have to like inform the client, like, hey, we don't have any control over this.
yeah,
Or if a post does not do well, then maybe let's switch it up and
yeah,
like, like let's kind of keep the thing going. But we can look at analytics and see why it didn't do well. Or
right.
maybe it's just like an off day that Instagram has or Facebook has. And I think there's still that distrust right now with
Mhm,
social, especially like what happened with Facebook in 2018, or just like people feeling so scared about putting their stuff out there. Like we were talking
mhm,
earlier about how back in the day we were told never to talk to strangers, and
yeah,
like now we do that on social. So I think it's figuring like be for people to feel okay that your brand has to be out there, or
mhm,
you have to be out there as a brand. Like you have to stand for something. Like
yeah,
this world that we live in, this society,
ooh,
everything has to stand for something. And so
yeah,
I think companies or like brands get really scared, especially smaller ones, they get really scared to like be out there on social because they know one thing can tarnish their brand.
mhm,
Like can just really, and I think about that too all the time with mine. Like I think about the stuff that I tweet, I think about the stuff
yeah,
that I say. Like it's so scary sometimes.
yeah. And I know for me, like before, I'm not gonna say the person's name, but before a certain political takeover, um, I remember like that whole like political thing. It's just like you just don't really talk about it on your business or on your brand account. It's just, I mean, maybe like you donate, to this cause or that cause, but it wasn't really something people talked about. And now it's like, no, you have to, it's almost like, and again, those bigger companies like Nike taking that risk with Colin
Yeah,
Kaepernick, like they can afford to take it. And of course they sat there and calculated the risk. And
right,
they knew, like, they're like, you know
right.
what, let's do this because you do have a lot of Nike's base are huge supporters of Kaepernick, sorry.
Yeah,
And so they're like, we can take this risk and it'll be fine. Versus if we decided to oppose him, then you have that same group of people that are like, well, I'm not buying any more Air Jordans. Because you have people, no matter their demographic, they're going to stand in line for some Air Jordans. It's always
Right.
what they've done. It's part of, you
Who
know,
they, yeah,
their like particular culture. So when they tweeted it and rolled out the Instagram and their video content, which I want to get to video in a second, and everything else, like, again, they knew that calculated risk. Whereas the smaller businesses are like, we can't talk. I mean, yeah, we stand for this, but we can't talk about this because what about this audience? And
yeah,
the way that I've kind of looked at it now is if you don't want to listen to me or work with me because I'm against this terrible thing and I'm speaking out against it, we don't need to talk anyway.
yeah.
Because I feel like it's not that I'm saying that I'm against human rights. I'm actually saying I'm for human rights. And if that's a problem, then maybe we're not a good match.
I
You know?
learned a very like powerful lesson last year, and it was mostly of I don't want to get involved, like just me personally and as
Mhm.
social butterfly gal, I don't want to get involved with any groups or organizations or events if their core values or their thoughts and beliefs don't align with mine. And
Exactly.
it's okay if they don't, and we're I'm okay with that, but I
Mhm.
think like moving forward in as I'm growing my business, I feel everything really needs to align with
Yeah.
where I'm at, what Social Butterfly Gal is doing, the people that I want to work with, the women that I want to serve, like all
Mhm.
those things. And that
Yeah.
was like super powerful to learn.
Yeah, and it's one of those things too. There's a project a friend of mine and I are working on this year, and it's like, okay, we also need to put in these guidelines that like if you're using this product or using this service, you cannot use it for these particular things. And it's one of those things that like, like hate speech or anything else. And it's one of those things that I didn't think that I needed to put. It was like, because I don't do that. So I just assume other people don't. And then you realize people do. And it's not something that I'm worried about. Oh, but then we're missing out on this audience. That's fine. They're not my audience anyway.
Yep.
We're
Yeah.
not reaching to those people. And I feel like also as minority women, like for both of us, like I think this is kind of where I kind of get tripped up that we just
Mhm.
assume
Yeah.
that like we don't need to say like, hey, we're against this because like why would our community be for that? And then you realize like, oh, okay.
Yeah. For sure. Oh my God. Yes.
And you're like, okay, look, let me specify this is not for that.
Yes.
Or I didn't create this product for you to do that. Like, I don't want to control what you do with it, right? But it's like, this has my name on it.
And
And
I think too, like with social, the people that I've worked with too, they've had to get comfortable with being out there, or like
mhm,
being comfortable with maybe this is how you need to position your brand versus
mhm,
the way you've always been doing it. And
mhm,
some people who have this closed minded, we've been doing it this way, we're not doing it a different way. It's
right.
so difficult to like peel that onion back and be like, no, your audience really likes when you're on stories or you're saying things or
Mhm,
like they connect. That's how you form connection. And so I think like understanding or like giving people that trust with social is
mhm.
a huge like deal. It is
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah, and I was reading an article about how, especially the generation that's coming up now, that's becoming the majority of the buying power, like they like that connection in stories, and they like when you say a particular thing or you position your brand a particular way,
Yeah,
um, and it's harder when the company has existed before they were born.
yeah,
You're like, okay, but we have to change this
yeah.
way. Like, I understand, but also you gotta like ease up a little. You
Like
just
one example was a client of mine had never used live video ever.
oh man.
Like since live video came out, they were
Hmm.
too scared to do it because they don't like the fact that it's live
Yeah.
and the fact that you don't have that power to edit, like it is live. And so I've been able to get them to feel comfortable about live. And we were doing a campaign in October, and I told him, I was like, we need to go live. Like, I'm sorry, I know you feel this way, but if you want more eyeballs on your brand,
Mhm.
at this time, you need to do what is trendy and what is going to really work. And
Mhm.
they took a gamble and we went live, and that live video reached like 15,000 people in a 24-hour period. And so
Yeah.
I was like, see, it is okay. It is fine. Like, and now they feel comfortable to where when the actual event happens, then it's like, okay, we can go live as long
Mhm.
as, like, we're monitoring comments. I think that's what always like scares people too,
Yeah.
is like you don't have control over what internet trolls will say or like what
Mhm.
people will say, but you just got to monitor it as best as possible and just get them to understand that like there are new ways to connect with people, and if your audience is online, you got to do it. You just
Yeah.
got to do it.
Yeah. And speaking of comments, I was reading something from another social something that came across on my feed, and she was saying that like, people like to joke about like, oh, the person is an intern, they did this social media, whatever, but they don't realize like how psychologically when you're dealing with a brand social media, like you have to um you're reading these comments and
Oh my god,
people are terrible. Like,
I have a story about this that I would love to
it.
share. It's a quick story.
You're fine.
I actually was in that position so like not so long ago with a client of mine. We decided to take a different stance on a campaign,
Mhm.
and we decided to archive all of their social media photos. The campaign was going to launch. We did the countdown, the campaign launch, and once the campaign launched, we were going to re-archive all the photos back up. It was a strategic move that everybody in the room agreed to.
Mhm.
Well, I guess like when it launched, some people who saw like that there was the photos, like there were no photos. Some people saw it and quickly, because they knew that I do the social media,
Mhm.
they blasted, not saying my name, but they blasted me on Twitter and Instagram.
Oh my
And
god.
reading those comments, I had to remove myself. Like I
Mhm.
had to remove myself from the way I was feeling personally from this person who was pretty much attacking me and my strategy because of a situation that happened, and also responding as the client,
Yeah.
responding as the brand, how a brand would respond. And that caught me for a little bit. Like that's where I recognize my weakness and when I need
Yeah.
to work on moving forward, and how I need to respond as a brand and not as Christina or not
Yeah.
as Social Butterfly Gal. And so ever since I took that as a lesson to get better at customer service and
Oh yeah.
how I need to just take the time to learn about what I need to say,
Mhm.
and also not let it get to me personally, because
Yeah.
the person who started like literally put it on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram on her personal, I had to remove myself from that, and it was so hard because there were
Yeah.
certain people commenting that knew me, that I know personally, and they know me personally, that I felt like it was an attack on the way I do social media,
Right.
and they don't know the behind the scenes part was we were in a room with like everybody on this marketing team, and it was a strategic move, so like
Right.
that was a huge lesson as someone who is now doing social media for this huge client, and
Mhm.
I had to learn that so hard.
I feel like anyone that manages brands social media accounts needs to be able to have at least 10 free counseling sessions just so
Yeah.
they can vent and like so they can go, okay, like I need to learn how to do X, Y, and Z, or I felt this way. And like it's everything from attacking like the branding, like, the campaign itself, and then you see it kind of escalate. And my God, people who manage brands maybe for like like for celebrities or for politicians or for
Oh, yeah.
nonprofits or whatever, and I'm just like because my whole thing is like if you don't like it, ignore it.
Yeah.
Just you literally have the odd you can do anything else. Have to you don't have to say anything, and yet you
I
chose
think
to.
And I think too, like it really, like, being in certain situations like that, there's just so many trolls, or like
Mhm.
people who want to see another person like fall, or
Yeah.
and so it's learning too for me not to react and not to put that on my social media. So like if I see something, I cannot tweet about it because everything
Mhm.
gets screenshot, and so it's like learning how to respond appropriately, and having to deal with how do you respond to negativity. And
Mhm.
now that I think that's like a price that you pay when you manage accounts, is like, you again, you have to be the photographer, the graphic designer, the brand person, the
Mhm.
people, the person who manages it, and the customer service. Because
Yeah.
now, back then, customer service was someone calling and staying on a line and talking to someone, whereas now customer service is, I'm going to blast your brand online for all this.
Right.
And how
Right.
you respond makes a huge
I was
difference.
about to say it's so much now the brands that fall, it's not because somebody doesn't like a product. Not everybody's going to like something, right?
Yeah.
But it's how that company responds, and it's everything from a negative response back. Now there are some that can do the clap back and you're like, "Yes, that works." But some, can't afford that. But then there are those that I think there's also like the negative, and then there's also those that use that generic response. And I
Mhm.
usually see it with finance companies,
Mm.
and they're like, "We're so sorry for your blah blah blah," and you can tell it's a copy and paste, and
Yeah.
that also gets them. So it's like, yes, I get that you have this script because you want to make sure that nobody's, especially with finance, but like you want to make sure people aren't going off kilter or putting their own feelings behind it. But then, how do you make it authentic to
The
the problem
I
that?
was actually like studying Target and like looking at the way they like respond to, and I feel they do a really great job not doing like copy and paste. They have different people responding. So it's not
Mhm.
like one person, and you can see like who their names are.
Yeah.
And like, I just really took note of how they respond to their customer feedback, and how I can learn from that and just be a better marketer, be a better
Mhm.
person who manages and says the right things so that it's not public.
Yeah.
It's like it's a really good light, positioning, because everybody's going to have some negative thing to say about something.
Mhm.
So it's like, how do you position it in a really positive spin on it?
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's one of the things that I kind of wish if I went back to school as a art-ish major,
Yeah,
that like we took like those. I wish that business was one of those things that we had to take, and we had
yeah,
to take entrepreneurship classes or marketing classes or things dealing with customer service, because you don't realize how much you have to learn about it
right,
until you're just in it. And
right,
whether it's an unhappy client or somebody responding not so positively about a campaign or a combination of both, it's
yeah,
it's it's like, okay, how do we just how do you deal with it? Because you have to learn on the fly, and you're like, oh crap,
yeah.
oh dang. And then real quick, and then I'm gonna let you do some plugs. We'll do a 10-question shoot off.
Okay.
I can't believe we've been talking for like an hour. This is crazy. But I do want to talk to you about video
Okay.
and how that is coming into play on social. I know 2018 has been a big thing with video.
Mhm.
And I know some people are scared of video because they're like, I'm not a videographer. I don't know how to do this. But there are now so many apps, I feel like, that are for the average, like the average camera user.
Yeah.
Also, would love to like get in a little bit about your opinion on IGTV or whatever it is.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And your opinion on that, because I have mixed feelings, but I'm not an
Okay.
expert. So.
Okay. So, one, I think video will continue to rise. I think people they feel connected when someone is, and I think video, not so much the edited, polished
Right.
video, those are great. I think that's fantastic. But I think and I think about Will Smith. because Will Smith does a phenomenal job. Like,
Yes.
if you want to know how to do video, go to Will Smith's Instagram, watch his stories, watch his stuff. Like, I think that now moving forward and where social is going to be, I think people want to see a brand and connect with them video wise.
Mhm.
And I was listening to a podcast, the Buffer podcast, the science of
Yes.
social media, so great. And they were talking about how in 2019, the trend is going to be obviously video, but more of the raw video. So
Mhm.
more of, while yes, we want scheduled social media, but it's going to be that type of social media where that person at a random time is going to go and post a story, or they're going to go live, or
Mhm.
you see the power of video. And I think that it really is going to, I think brands need to get comfortable.
Mhm.
Whether you want to be on camera or not, you don't have to be on camera. Like, you can film something that's not you, like
Right.
if you are in a restaurant, you can film your employees. If you work for, this other company that has like your audience, like you can get testimonials, like any type of video will work.
Right.
But I think more of your audience is going to want to see you and want to know who's behind. Like, I can't stand when I don't know the person behind the brand. Like, I've seen so many Instagram accounts where they don't even have their name on
Yeah.
their about me. Like, I met this girl who, for the life of me, I could not remember her name. Introduced me to her. She follows me on social media. We were gonna have coffee together, and I was like, oh my god. And I knew we were friends on Facebook, but because I couldn't remember her name, I couldn't
Right.
find her on Facebook. I just knew her from her Instagram name. So I said, great, let me go to her website. I'm pretty sure I can find her name there. No, she had no name at all on her website. And so, as a nice person, in a nice way, I just said, like, don't forget, like, it's great that you're building this brand off of your business name, but it's
Mhm.
really important that you yourself have your name somewhere on your Instagram,
Yeah.
somewhere on your website, because how are people going to know, you know?
Right.
So I think that's just really important. But again, like video, I feel that video will continue to rise, but it doesn't need to be so polished. I feel like
Right.
people are so scared of video because they feel like they need to have the best editing software, they need to have the best camera. Like,
Mhm.
that's not the case. Like, my husband is not anywhere in the entrepreneur world or creative sector, but when we go on trips, he is shooting from his iPhone. He's
Yeah.
using apps to create video. Like, he is a marketer essentially.
Mhm.
And I feel like if he can do it, businesses can do it.
Right.
Like, so I just feel like people need to just be comfortable with like
Mhm.
that. And like, I use InShot. I just downloaded like a couple of
Ooh.
apps.
Okay.
I use like, I shoot from my phone. I have a DSLR camera, but I shoot video on my phone
Mhm.
because it's very easy and simple. And I edit on the InShot or iMovie. I mean, again, it doesn't have to be complicated,
Yeah.
and it doesn't. You can just do a quick 15-second story on Instagram. Say
Yeah.
hi to your followers, give them an update about what you're doing, and people will eat that up. Like, people love it.
Yeah. And it's I know like on iPhone when I was doing YouTube videos for a little bit, this is I'd rather do podcasts to
Like,
be
yeah,
honest.
for sure.
But at least I gave it a try, right? No,
Yeah,
but I don't have a fancy camera. I have a really good friend who let me borrow his, but I'm like, I wouldn't know how to set this up with the tripod to and like edit. That's his thing. And I just know. Not if I'm not invested enough in it. But like my iPhone, you can get a tripod um from Amazon for like 15 bucks or hit up Five Below. Shameless
yeah,
plug. They're not sponsoring my podcast yet, but we can talk about that later. Go to Five Below, get you a $5 tripod, like hold, so you can hold it and record it
yeah,
and you can set the settings where depending on the iPhone you have, you can set the settings on your video so it's 4K, great
yeah,
quality,
yeah.
like
That's
you were
what I have
saying.
on my phone.
Yeah, and like like you were talking about different apps and stuff that you can use to edit. They have iMovie on the phone now, so you don't even have to try to edit on your phone. Like
Yeah,
it's so
yeah.
accessible, and I don't know about Android. Sorry.
No, me
Um,
neither. My
well, I
bad.
had like a Samsung Galaxy like 3. I think that was the last.
Well, and I even like I have a mini ring light, that
Mhm.
I purchased, that I have, and it helps a lot when I'm creating video.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to have the fancy smashy unless you're a professional videographer
Mhm.
doing professional, videos. But if you're just a business wanting to get yourself out there online, like anybody can do it. It is
Yeah.
so easy to do. You just have to have the guts and the
Mhm.
confidence to like just put yourself out there and do it.
Yeah, and it does take it. Like, I trust me, I was just like, I remember when I was doing the YouTube videos and I was trying to film them all in one day. So
Oh my god.
so I had to, like, pick out 4 different outfits and, like, I changed my lipstick and I was just like, "You know what? I don't wanna do that." I authentically just do not want to do YouTube videos. I feel more comfortable. I feel like this kind of setting is more comfortable, but all that to say is, like you were saying, unless you're really trying to invest in doing video and like that's your big thing, or you're a videographer or whatever the case is, you're right. Like, you
Yeah.
don't need anything crazy. You just need patience
Yep.
and a couple of apps and just kind of learn how to work the video settings on your phone and Google Drive to back everything up because
Yeah.
I'm, huge on backing your stuff up and then you're good. You're fine. Um and you'll be good. So, um I think
IGTV.
yes.
So,
I'll share my
oh
opinion.
man, oh my goodness. I think it was like so buzzy. Like it was like a buzzword. It was like, oh my god, Instagram found the new thing. This is amazing. It's gonna change.
Mhm.
I put my videos on IGTV, but then I also put them on my website.
Mhm.
So I actually have it on my website. But as a person, I rather look at your stories than your IGTV. Like
Yes.
I don't go to IGTV at all. I think what I do for my clients at least is if we have a live or if we have something that was really profound that we want to save it and archive it so that it's accessible, we put it on IGTV. But everything else, or like we highlight it on stories, but
Mhm.
everything else, like I felt like it was just like, oh my god, this is so trendy, and then it quickly like dissolves.
Kind of like
Um,
Vero did.
yeah. Oh my god. Dead. Wow. I completely forgot about that. That was like all the rage. That
For
was all
like
the
2
rage.
days.
Like 2 days. I remember everyone was like, "It's gonna change social media."
Buy Facebook and Instagram. I'm like, "Really?
Yeah.
Really?"
I mean, even sometimes with stories too, like I'm so busy creating content for my
Mhm.
clients that sometimes I don't have time to get through everyone's story. Like I love people to death, but I was getting really annoyed with everyone posting all of um their year of review on stories because it was like literally a whole story, and I was like, yo, I don't have time right now. Like, I just need to go through the next story. I had this one follower that I follow who, like, she did for each month, 12 months in a freaking year. And she was like, literally giving 10 moments for each month. I was like, no one's going to have time to go through each moment,
Oh my
Like,
god, it was like
so
365. I'm like, "Isn't there a limit?"
and I was thinking, like, the way I did it with my end of the year review was I created graphics and I did it by quarter because I
Yeah.
was like, no one's gonna want to go through my stories. So I just
Right.
did four graphics of like 3 photos in each.
Yeah.
Like these were my quarter stuff, and I went by each month. And so I really feel that like it is getting a little saturated because now we were marketing to people, you need to be on stories, but now people are on stories and it's getting a little too saturated. So
Mhm.
it's like and I think about the algorithm too, like how does the algorithm put these people's stories, because there's tons of people who I never
Yeah.
see the stories because it does not pop up,
Yeah.
like it's all the way in the back. So I have to think about that too when I manage social media. Like I have to think
Mhm.
about like where are my clients stories fall, like where do they follow or where do they fall under
Mhm.
when people are watching, like how does that algorithm work to where they are getting seen and that
Yeah.
it's not just like, oh, tap forward, I don't, or exit,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
but like again, I rather watch video via a story format than going to an IGTV. people do not have the attention span to watch like even a 5-minute video.
Yeah.
Like
And
I
I
think about that all the time.
And I think also, well, here's two things that kind of bothered me with IGTV. I had to download another app. It's
Right.
like downloading the Messenger app on Facebook instead of
Yeah.
me just staying in Facebook. Like,
Yeah.
why do I need to download all of these different apps for Facebook when I can just be in Facebook? Like, so with
Yeah.
with Instagram and the IGTV, it was the same frustration for me as a user. I don't want to download another app just to look
Yeah.
at something on Instagram, and it pops up in store. I mean, it pops up in the Explore tab, but
Right.
you still have to. I just don't like it, and I don't want it. And then you can't mute. Okay, this isn't about like celebrity dissing or anything, but if you watch Teen Mom, Farrah's daughter
Uh-huh.
has an IGTV channel.
That's
So when
insane.
I'm in, and she's 5. There is nothing, or 6 or 7. There's nothing that I want to see from a 6 or 7-year-old. So
Hmm.
if I go into the Explore tab, I automatically want to just not see it ever again. And I
Right.
don't have that option. It just hides that particular video, and it's
Right.
annoying because I don't want to see it.
I think so. Like, and I think about that too. Like, the people who are really using IGTV, like, what what is the difference between me going to your stories? Like, like I had to think
Yeah.
strategically, or like, am I going to see this the same video on three? Like, am I going to see this in your feed? Am I going to see this like I think like what or like on YouTube? Like, I still
Mhm.
the way, and I think like that's too the psychology of people. Like how do they spend their time online? Like when I'm
Mhm.
on YouTube, I am mostly at times going down that YouTube rabbit hole
Yep.
or that YouTube train, or I'm actually like looking up how to do my makeup better or
Mhm.
do my hair better, or I'm staying up late watching Ellen. Like
Yeah.
I gotta think about these things. Like how do people use? Like how do they use?
Right.
Like really? So am I going to want to see you post a 10-minute video where I can just go to YouTube and see a 2-minute video?
Mhm.
Or I could go to your stories and just see it. So I think it's just interesting. I think
Yeah.
it's still, I haven't caught on. It's been already, what, half a year, right? It launched in
Yeah.
December 2018. And I think out of that half, like I post stuff to my IGTV, but it doesn't really like matter. It doesn't do it. It
Yeah.
doesn't, it's just like, oh, I have a cool video that I created. I want to save. Let's save
Yeah.
it. That's what I think.
And I hate that it's only vertical format because
Really?
I think I
I
do
like it.
I like okay, so I think I wish there was kind of a way that how like Instagram's feed adjusted to where it doesn't have to be the square,
Yep.
which I'm still kind of, because once I got onto Instagram, I was like, it's the square. And now it's like, but I can see where it makes sense to not have it square, but I try to keep it square if I need to, you know. I don't like that like you have to go to another app because most people shoot horizontally. So
Yeah.
I think trying to shoot vertically is kind of like, okay, I gotta shift my thinking and when I shoot for IGTV versus when I shoot for YouTube. And I don't know if people know how to, I don't think you can just put the video on, maybe you can now, but like I was thinking of like people putting it where it still fits in the vertical, it just has that
Mm.
random space. So I don't, so I think that was kind of also the thing, and it doesn't really crop right.
Yeah.
And then I think also too, when I think of watching video, like you mentioned, like I think if I want to watch a video on whatever, I go onto YouTube, like you
Yeah.
were saying. Like I went down the rabbit hole of Schoolhouse Rock, and then it went
Oh,
it went
love.
from like it went to the 8 timetable down to like junction and law like
Oh,
adverbs. So, like it was,
good.
but like
Yeah.
I don't go into IGTV for that, like that's a YouTube thing. And you made a really good point. Like it's about what is your audience doing with whatever type of content. Like we've gotten so conditioned to YouTube to,
Yeah.
here's my 10 favorite blah 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 that it doesn't really
And
make.
that's how, like, really, I mean, my husband plans our trips via YouTube.
Mhm.
Or we do a little bit of Instagram. Like, he'll go on Insta, he'll do Yelp.
Mhm.
But, like, the bulk, like our San Francisco trip and our Seattle trip that we took in 2018, for San Francisco, he watched, there's a influencer who does like how to survive, or he does like how to survive in this city with $20.
Oh
And
wow.
he will literally show you, like he'll have a $20 bill and he has like 3 days and he has to have like 20, like he has to use all of that. And
Mhm.
so like we used another influencer's YouTube video to look at Seattle. And so I know he didn't go to Instagram video, like he didn't go to IGTV, he
Right.
YouTube. So I think it's like we're still in that YouTube mindset. Like
Right.
I still love YouTube.
Yeah. And YouTube's not dying. And YouTube, by the way, tried to have stories or has stories, and I'm like, just
Yeah,
leave that for Instagram.
yeah.
Like,
Like
which
leave
is
it.
which is so funny because that used to be a Snapchat thing. And then I never used
Stay for
Snapchat.
real.
I was always like, I always felt I was too old for Snapchat. It's not
Hmm.
true. I'm not like 55 years old, right? Like I'm still considered a millennial, but like I'm just like I'm too old for Snapchat. I'll just stick to Instagram.
That's so funny.
But yeah, now like Instagram, they had their stories, and I was like, "Are you trying to be Snapchat?" And I'm like,
Well, I think
"Actually,
like for me, it kind of worked out because again, I don't have any of my accounts on private
yeah,
except for Snapchat. Like Snapchat is the platform where I only have. Well, I mean, my personal Facebook is private. Like there are
right,
levels of privacy that I have,
hmm
but like for my business, like Instagram is all business, so it's all open, it's public. But like Snapchat, I feel I can be a little bit more like I can show more pictures of my cat than I can on like Instagram or like you know what I mean. Like if we're making Maddie dance, like who's my cat? If we're making my cat dance, like I can reserve that for Snap instead of my public business Instagram. I don't think anybody wants to see my cat dance.
I mean, I would.
They might. I was like, they might. That's like great content right there. That's like really good video content.
All right, I think that leaving the like cool stuff about cats dancing, you need to show it on Instagram. Like, I'm
Yes.
sorry,
Okay, maybe
Instagram
I'll do one.
stories.
Maybe I'll do one of Maddie. Her birthday's coming up, so she turns 14. So maybe we'll
Oh
make her
wow!
dance. Yeah.
Yes, happy 14th birthday, Maddie. This is the cat dancing that they survived another year.
We'll make her dance.
All right, you're gonna be my first person to do this 10-question shoot off.
Okay.
Um, it makes no sense, but it's also not offensive.
I love that. Cool. Cool, cool.
So this is don't think about it. Just
Okay.
answer the question
Okay.
and
Oh
you know,
God. Okay.
judge me later. It's fine.
I'm so nervous.
All right. Good. All right. No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
All right. Question one. If animals could talk, which animal would be the rudest?
Oh my God. A hyena.
Yeah. Yeah. My mom was watching The Lion King the other night, and I was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
no.
For
what's your
sure.
what's your favorite thing in your fridge right now?
Mm. Wine.
I love wine culture. I'm not even gonna
For sure.
lie. What is the dumbest way you've been injured?
I cut my hand from a potato peeler
Oh man.
because I don't know how to cook. I don't know how to cook. And I was being like I was being like bold and spontaneous and was like, I'm gonna make this chicken dinner and peel potatoes and like make this for myself. And I literally like cut my finger. Like I just cut it. It was the
Ouch.
worst cut ever. And or like that also I banged my head on like literally 5 seconds before we got on this. I was like trying to plug in and I hit my head on this rail.
Oh my god. So
I'm a very clumsy person.
I hit my head on my car door, like on like the top part of my car
Uh-huh.
frequently,
Uh,
which I think actually explains everything.
but yeah, like don't get me to cook. I also burned myself from like trying to take pizza out of the oven. Like I just told my husband's the cook, which is amazing.
That's
So
good.
I'm just like, Pete, you do it because I always get injured every time I try to attempt to cook.
So
So
Blue Apron or Hello Fresh when you're alone.
yes, for
Got it.
sure, for sure.
Perfect.
Or Whataburger. That's like my go-to
Oh
thing
my
is
god.
Whataburger. Like if I don't want to cook, I'm like, let's go to Whataburger.
Like when Beto was running and like the times he was in Dallas, I was like, I'm going because I live about 5 minutes from two Whataburgers and I've
Oh,
never seen him at either. And I'm like, how were you here? And I've never seen you, sir.
right?
Like
Like what the
I would go directly after or directly before like his event. And I'm like, how did I never see you? But
That's so funny.
what's the worst commercial you've seen recently and why?
Oh God. To be honest, I don't really watch a lot of TV. So we cut
Fair.
our cable. We cut our
Mhm.
cable. We have Sling, but like we do a lot of Netflix and like I watch things on YouTube and I have
Mhm.
YouTube Red so I don't have to see the ads. Like I'm that type
Dang.
of person who will pay extra just so that nothing is being promoted at me. I'm just like, I do this for a living. I don't want to. So in terms of commercials, I did see though on Facebook the old like Orbit commercials. Do you remember the Orbit gum where they would be
um,
like, "Who has a clean mouth?" Or like, "Someone
oh yeah.
knew it." That was like a dumb like commercial. But again, I don't really want like I used to be such a TV fanatic, but then
Hmm.
I just like stopped really watching, and I just watch a lot of like Netflix and things that I pay for.
Did you hear that Netflix, by the way, is thinking about adding commercials? And I'm like,
God, I
I
hope
was like,
not.
but this is why we Netflix.
Yeah,
Like, this is
like
exactly we were trying to get away from. What are
and
you
that was kind of like why I got a YouTube Red account because like I was always watching things and like in the middle, like now they're getting smart where instead of having the ads at the beginning, they like pause your like in the middle of your
doing?
video. So I
Yeah.
said, you know what? I'll pay $14 a month. I don't care if I don't have to see an ad on YouTube. I will pay $14 a month, and I love it. And sometimes I forget because Pete doesn't have a YouTube Red account. So
Hmm.
when we're watching YouTube on his phone, it will go to an ad, and I'm like, what is this? Like,
Yeah.
I don't have this on
I
my
don't, I
YouTube.
don't, what are
Like,
you peasants
what are
doing
you?
with this stuff?
Yeah, like this is weird.
Speaking of cults, what kind of cult would you like to start?
Oh my god, a cat, a cat cult,
I would join.
dude.
Like,
Seriously, like I just want like my dream in life is to have be those people that have cat sanctuaries. Just bring all the cats. I would definitely want to have like a cat. My cat would be like Sasha Fierce or something.
yes,
Like I would want that.
done. I would go, like I would join knowing like they'd be like, this is a cult, right? Absolutely,
Yeah,
100%.
yeah,
That's why I'm in
yeah. All the cats.
it. Basically,
Mhm.
what's a body part that you don't mind losing?
Oh God, how do I not think about that one? I don't know. I don't know. That's a hard one. Oh
I
my god.
know. I was
I
trying to think of one
mean, I don't. I
too.
don't know. I wouldn't choose my ears. Like I wouldn't because I need all this. I need my hands to type. You
Yeah.
know, that's a hard one. You stumped me on that one.
Yes. Would you rather have an unlimited international first class flight or never have to pay for food at restaurants?
Never have to pay for food at restaurants
True,
because
because
I spend so much money going out to eat on food I never finish.
hmm
And I end up getting kids meals anyway because it's cheaper and it's like I eat like a toddler. Like I'm like almost 28 and I still get kids meals. But I spent like when I go through my expenses a lot, I'm like, damn, I spend a lot of money on food I don't finish.
yeah. Oh, that's true. And then if
So
you, yeah, then you're like, dang it, I shouldn't have like
yeah,
wasted money.
yeah.
And yeah, I
They're
get
just like, yeah, it's so horrible. So food for
it.
sure.
Food. If your 5-year-old self suddenly found themselves inhabiting your current body, what would your 5-year-old self do first?
Mm, God, dance. I think I love dancing.
Dancing is fun. Dancing is
Probably
great. Which, by the way, if you go on, is it on your Instagram store? Is it on your
No, it's
Instagram
on my
feed?
Facebook.
Oh,
It's on
okay. Well, I won't do
both
my
of them. Both of
okay.
them on my,
I was gonna say
but they're public. They're public.
okay. So
Mhm.
if you, I'm not gonna give away your personal Facebook, but if you
No,
find
you're good.
Christina on Facebook, you have to see the video of her and her husband Pete dancing at their wedding. It's so freaking cute. I don't cry often, but I was like, oh my God. Like,
You
I
know,
was,
we learned that in 6 weeks off of YouTube.
that's awesome.
Yeah, like we just what we did was we found a choreographed dance, or song was Mirrors by Justin Timberlake. We found a choreographed dance, and it was like an actual like YouTube video of like these amazing, like I think they were Asian choreographed, like they were just like an Asian dance team, or like Filipino or something. I don't know what they were, but they were freaking on fire. And we studied it, and we just like we would practice every day leading up from like at the end of October leading up to our wedding in December. And we were on the last day of, right before we got married, we were like, okay, well, this is, you know, if it goes well, it goes well. And it went well.
No, it went
It
well.
did really well.
It went very well because I was like, oh my God, this is so cute. And I had to watch it like in pieces because I kept crying.
Oh my god, that's so sweet. It was, and like there's like I still remember bits and pieces of the dance, but like
Mhm.
on that time frame, I was like, I hope we don't mess up, because we're performing this in front of like 400 people.
And it's gonna be videoed.
Yeah, and it's videoed and it will be shared online for sure.
What's the last song you sang to your life to? I'm gonna assume it's something Justin
It
Timberlake,
was
Britney Spears, or
it,
NSYNC.
it was Justin Timberlake. It was Justin Timberlake, "Can't Stop the Feeling" this morning,
Oh,
because he's
that
back on tour. He's back
yes,
on tour today, and he's coming to. I think he's going to Dallas too. I know he's coming to San Antonio. I got
yeah.
tickets,
I think
obviously.
yeah, I think he's coming
Um,
to Dallas.
but it was "Can't Stop the Feeling." I don't know. There's something about that song that just puts me in such a great mood
Oh yeah,
every time I hear it. Like it's just that one of those songs where I don't get tired of listening to it, and every
hmm
time I hear it, I get really happy. And so
yeah,
I'm like, if I need like a pump, you know, like a pep in my step on a Friday, I'm like, let's go, "Can't Stop the Feeling." And
yes,
it
yes.
was just related.
I knew it.
Give me 1 second. Let me plug my laptop. Hold on.
You're good.
Sorry.
'Cause I need to find one more question.
Okay. I'm back.
Okay. Would you rather have whatever you are thinking appear above your head for everyone to see, or have absolutely everything you do live streamed for everyone to see?
Oh, probably the thinking.
Okay.
Probably the thinking. I mean, I'm really boring though. Like if I would, I don't. If I live streamed my life, it would just be me talking to the cat.
Well, people have really weird obsessions nowadays, like of what they like to see.
Yeah.
Like, there's like Dr. Pimple Popper has her own show, his
Yeah.
which I appreciate what she does as a doctor. I
That's
don't
like
want to
that's
see.
yeah. I'm like, Pete really likes to watch those videos too, and I'm like, why? Like,
Yeah.
oh
Or like
no.
people like to watch other people eating.
We just discovered an Instagram account that literally like, have you seen it where they put the microphone and they're like chewing?
Ew.
It's like the sound. Pete like really went down. Like he was watching all those things, and I was like, this is weird.
That
This
is
is
that is
gross.
that is our world that troubled
I
today
I think it is. Unfortunately,
that we're doing the Bird Box challenge and and watching and
every
listening to people eat?
people eat. Yeah, so gross.
And people say my true crime obsession is weird. Whatever. It's not. It's just studying history. So there.
Exactly.
All right. I think that was 10 questions. I was trying to count on my fingers underneath my desk
How
when I
many?
wasn't doing that, but I don't know. So to wrap up, plug anything and everything
Okay,
about
so
you.
let's start with Social Butterfly Gal though, because I have a second business which I
Yes.
didn't even get, like I didn't touch on, but
Oh my God.
So the first thing for Social Butterfly Gal is if you are an established brand, established business, a corporate client who is needing social media, somebody to it's definitely more cost effective to contract out versus hiring a full time employee. If you are looking for someone that's a social media expert who knows digital trends, contact Social Butterfly Gal. I do primarily work in San Antonio, but I have had clients outside of San Antonio. So if you're in Texas, if you're listening to this and your brand is needing social media management or consulting, you can go to the socialbutterflygal.net and learn a little bit about what I do and how I can help your brand. And then for the Swarm Society, you don't necessarily have to be in San Antonio to do this because now I'm live streaming the workshops. But if you are a female entrepreneur or someone who's in the digital space who wants to learn more about social media, I have the Swarm Society, which is my membership community. Every second Monday of the month, we have 2-hour workshops focused on a specific social media topic and a business related topic. So we switch out every other month. Right now, I'm running a special for $25 a month, and you get access to a private Facebook group that I have. And then, of course, if you're in San Antonio, you get to come to the workshops. But if you're not in San Antonio, you can watch them live on Facebook. So inside the Facebook group, for each workshop, I go live, and you have unlimited access to rewatch the workshops. And then you just have access to all the amazing women that are a part of this. And then if you are looking for a speaker for a conference, or if you need somebody to be on a panel, I do offer speaking opportunities. I also offer workshops for marketing teams. So if your marketing team is having a company retreat, or if you are just wanting a workshop for your team to better your Instagram or influencer marketing, you can hire me as well to come and speak to your group or to be on. My goal is to get more speaking engagements in 2019. I definitely want to transition more into that. So again, I do social media marketing. I have the Swarm Society, and then I have speaking opportunities. And in Q3, I will be launching my first social media course. And I'm really excited about this. It's been something that so many people have told me to do, and I had avoided it for the longest time, but I feel like right now is it's a really good time for me to do it, especially with all the endeavors, everything that I'm working on. And so I'm getting ready to start working on it, and it's going to be launching in Q3, what I'm thinking of, what I have planned. So
Yes.
that's Social Butterfly Gal. Now I have a second business called Hustle and Socialize. It is a 3-day conference for women entrepreneurs or anyone who is wanting to start a business. And we expanded into a 3-day. This is our second year that we're doing it. We're expanding it into a 3-day, and it is June 20th through the 22nd of 2019 here in San Antonio. Tickets are going on sale January 21st. Our early bird ticket is $150 for all 3 days, which includes breakfast and lunch and some alcohol for our events, because we are having we're having the conference, but we're also having 2 cocktail networking events part of it. So tickets go on sale Monday, January 21st. Early bird is only offered for 10 days, and that's $150. And then after January 31st, the price jumps to $200. And we have an incredible lineup of speakers. It's going to be amazing. Our conference grew. We sold out. Last year 2018 was our first year, and we sold out within 2 months. Like, we launched that baby in April. The conference was in June, and we sold out. So we're expected to sell out again. We really can feel it. But yeah, that conference is for anybody who's entrepreneurial or the female business owner, and I'm really, really excited and proud for it.
Yay!
Yay!
Well, thank you for being my first guest. I
Yeah.
feel like I've wanted to do this like thing, and I'm like, okay, I wanted to interview for the blog, and then I was like, I'm not really reading blogs like that anymore. So I wanted
Me either. Like, I'm still blogging. Like, I still blog because
Mhm.
people still want to like read, like
Yeah.
I think people ultimately, but now my blogs are so short, like
Mhm.
they're not long blogs. I only do maybe about like one or two a month versus I used to create like 14 blogs a month. I don't know how
Yeah.
I used to do that. Like it's insane, but I'm the same way. Like I used to have a feature called Boss Gal and
Mhm.
I got rid of it just because it was just so, it was a lot.
Yeah, and I think also I want to show more, or at least, so this is recorded for anyone that might be maybe hard of hearing, or would rather, I'm trying to be as inclusive as possible
For sure.
with this. So but also this is podcast because I feel like podcasts are like the new AM radio, talk radio
Yeah,
for
for sure.
us.
I agree.
But no, I wanted, like, I think your personality is so much better, like, being seen or being heard than, like, just being
Yeah,
like, on words and stuff, and it,
yeah,
uh, I don't wanna be like, "Hey, can you, like, type out this thing, but then I might have to edit this," and,
yeah.
no.
It's a lot.
So, I
It's a
am
lot.
so happy we finally got a chance to
Me
do this.
too. Me
Um
too.
I feel like we'll have, like, something else to talk about because I feel like there's just, other than social media changing, there's also just, like, business stuff that I'm like, that I've always
Yeah,
have admired, and, like, there's just so much. So this will not be the first time,
for
but
sure.
thank you so much. It's like all of us, I think we've been at this for an hour and a half.
I know.
So
So funny.
anyone who kept to the end of this, you guys are rock stars.
For
Um,
sure.
and there's still like the 5-minute bit that I recorded before you got,
Oh my god, I love that.
and
That's
I
so
still
funny.
need to like do the wrap up part, which I won't hold you on for. So yay!
Yay!
But
Thank
it's
you.
super informative. But thank you so so much. I really appreciate it.
Yes, and don't forget everybody to follow me on Instagram at the Social Butterfly Gal.
Yes, where you can find her, you can pay her. So she's everywhere, and again, that'll be in the description. So you can't say, "Oh, I heard it, but I forgot to." No, nope, it'll be there.
All right.
All
Bye,
right, I will
everyone.
talk to you later.